This is the official launch broadcast.
We have main engine start.
I've always looked up to Sally Ride and Mae Jemison, who really laid the foundation.
We are now at the point where we can bring together lots of different types of people.
It is hugely important to see people who look like you.
Every time I see a Black woman go to space, I'm like, yes.
I think being a woman at NASA means being driven, focused, hardworking, empathetic, a team player.
We don't know how long before that opportunity comes for another woman of color. It's about going out and sharing my story.
And liftoff. There's no reason you can't do these things. I want to show African American girls I'm doing a lot of these things that you never thought you would be able to do.
My name is Joy Cates, and I'm the producer and director for The Color of Space.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
It's been exciting to share the remarkable stories of NASA's Black astronauts. For me, the women of NASA have such powerful perspectives to share, such as Jeanette Epps, who talked one-on-one with me while she was in space. I am so excited to be able to talk to you.
It's good to hear your voice. Haven't seen you in a long time.
The last time, we saw each other was at the taping of The Color of Space. The younger generation, they have definitely been inspired.
A lot of times, as a person, you get stuck in this place of fear to do something. I don't know if I'm going to fit into this space. I don't know if I should be here. I don't know what I should be doing or how I should be doing it. And you don't do it.
You hit the nail on the head right there. We have to support each other. If we do that, not a whole lot's going to stop us.
The biggest thing that I've kind of come to realize, I want to share more of this with more people on the planet, not just the United States, but all over the globe. My story started as a child. I'm one of 7. I have a twin sister. We were the youngest. We were relatively happy kids. Education was the biggest thing that my mother impressed upon us. When I was about 9 years old, my twin sister and I, we brought home our report cards. And my older brother, he looked at them, he goes, wow, you guys can probably become aerospace engineers or even an astronaut. And this was at the time when Sally Ride and all these other women were first selected to be astronauts.
Mission Specialist Dr. Sally Ride, who will be the first U.S. woman to fly into space.
As a female, it is different. And, as a Black female, it's very different.
I'm Dr. Sian Proctor, and I was the mission pilot for Inspiration 4, the first all-civilian mission to orbit. I've known Jeanette since 2009 in the selection process.
Another great cheer from the crowd as we see Jeanette Epps.
Every time I see a Black woman go to space or get selected for a mission, I got the permagrin smile happening, because it just means that we're opening up access. There weren't women fighter pilots back then, not alone women of color.
I'm speaking to the full family of humankind. minorities and women alike.
We've had other role models in the science fiction side, like Nichelle Nichols, and seeing her as Lieutenant Uhura.
This is your NASA, a space agency embarked on a mission to improve the quality of life on planet Earth right now.
We are now at the point where we can bring together lots of different types of people.
Jameson is a medical doctor from Chicago.
I was 22 when Dr. Mae Jameson flew to space.
And we can start to use folks and integrate our space missions internationally and otherwise to make sure that we're using all the talents that we have.
We make it so that people can see the possibilities.
So many young girls do need to see someone who looks like them doing things that they never thought they could do.
I feel like it's also kind of inspiring to see more girls who are able to be born in space.
I've never met anyone who's been to space.
And here they come, our astronauts.
It's always interesting what people see in.
Including Joan Higginbotham.
I don't know if I had a vision of who I wanted to be when I was younger, but I will tell you this. I think I was born to be an engineer, and I think specifically I was born to be an electrical engineer. My brother had this transistor radio. I opened the back of it, and I saw the wires, and I was just really fascinated by all of that. I wired up an old phone that had a phone jack in our family room, and I got a dial tone. Those things that no one taught me that I remember that I did really spoke to what I liked as a child. I always loved math, always loved science, and I got into a program called Inroads, which showed me what I could do with that love of math and science and my love of wires. And I went to become an electrical engineer. And a few weeks after graduating college, I actually went to work at NASA's Kennedy Space Center, not as an astronaut, but as a rocket scientist. I worked on the wiring system for the shuttles, and I actually got to work on one of Bernard's flights. And it was so cool being an engineer and seeing a Black astronaut come in. And I went to actually your post-flight briefing, and I was awe-inspired. There's somebody that looks like me that's an astronaut. Fast forward about 7 years into my career, and I was doing a special assignment with a gentleman named Jay Honeycutt. And he's the one that made the statement, 5 little words that changed my life. You make a great astronaut. I never thought about the astronaut track for 2 reasons. First of all, I was so enamored with what I was doing. I got to work on the shuttle, I got to meet astronauts, I got to walk outside my office door and watch the shuttle launch. But the second reason, I still thought astronauts were on another level. But when I sat down and thought about things, I was intelligent enough to get the shuttle ready for the astronauts to fly on. Then I was probably intelligent enough to fly on the shuttle. Being a woman of color, it came into play a couple of times when I was actually an astronaut. I was thinking about it in the terms of, let me do all I can to present the best self.
I'd kind of been conditioned, through my teenage years and 20s to not really express myself. I never had a Black female teacher, not let alone science teacher in my entire career. And then thinking about the fact that I'm a geologist, and environmental science, there were no other Black females in my class. And just always feeling like I had to work, not 100%, but 110, 20, 30, 40% to get the same kind of recognition that my peers were getting that weren't women of color. That's just been one of those things where you talk about grit and determination and resilience. Seeing Jessica get selected as a fellow Black female geologist, I'm like, yes.
My name is Jessica Watkins. I was born in Maryland, but did most of my growing up in Boulder, Colorado. I kind of stumbled upon geology and quickly fell in love. I was pretty young when I first heard of the idea of being an astronaut. I went to an elementary school named after Judy Resnick, and I was inspired by her story as I grew older and started to understand what that would mean in terms of what I could study and learning more about the planets and Mars in particular. One of the things that I enjoy the most about geology intellectually is that you kind of function as a detective. You're looking at different puzzle pieces. You're trying to bring those puzzle pieces together to get a full story, a full history of what has happened in a particular place. Making an impact or even achieving a dream isn't always this kind of discrete moment, this big thing. It's really just kind of the combination of putting one foot in front of the other.
Astronaut training is amazing. We start learning about the International Space Station. We learn robotics. We learn to fly the T-38 jets. We learn to do an EVA, or you can live in a cave for 5 days. One of the things that Caves does is it's an analog to flying to space, and in particular, flying to remote places like the moon. Caves I loved every minute of it, though. It was so crazy. It was definitely my favorite of all, because it was just the most extreme, and to get through to the end, it's like, yes, we made it out. So, yeah, we hugged the rescue guys when we got out, because they didn't have to come get us.
NEMO is NASA Extreme Environments Mission Operations, and what those missions entail is going down to the Aquarius underwater habitat, which is about 60 feet underwater off the Florida Keys. And so we live down there for about 10 days.
We learned to work really closely together as a team.
Can you just describe the sense of community among the astronauts within NASA, and how has this network kind of supported you personally and also professionally?
There's a lot of camaraderie amongst the astronauts, but really at Johnson Space Center, our trainers, our flight directors, instructors, everyone has a part in getting us here to space. The camaraderie is pretty deep.
T-10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Being on the launch pad and the anticipation of taking off, it was far better than I ever dreamed of.
And liftoff of NASA Crew 8.
You had heard the screams from the capsule when we took off. It was like a bunch of people on an amusement park ride and full enjoyment of everything that was happening in that moment. And then once we could get out of our seats and look out the window, and we could see our booster heading back to Earth. Absolutely amazing.
Looking for a good launch opportunity tonight.
For us, it was a really long journey. By the time we got strapped in that night, I'm like, let's do this. The winds were a little bit crazy at the launch.
So we are going to have to declare a scrub at this time.
We didn't launch, and I was so disappointed. I'm waiting years and years, and here I am strapped in. So we get unsuited, we go back to crew quarters, and we're trying to figure out when they're going to try to launch us.
Currently, our weather forecasters are indicating that we are still troubled by some of the crosswinds that are moving across the state of Florida.
And they went 2 nights later. I'm like, it's not appreciably different than it was 2 nights ago. So in my mind, we were doing yet another dress rehearsal. So we go out, we get all strapped in, and then we go through the T-minus 9-minute hold. They go through the pole, and everyone's going. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we're going somewhere today.
Okay, the consoles go. SPE is go. Launch director entity, the launch team is ready to proceed.
We get down to 6 seconds, and that's when the engine's like, we were gone.
And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery.
My friends and family were blown away on September 15th, 2021. They were all there at Kennedy Space Center, historic launch pad 39A, watching me achieve my childhood dream. So when they strapped me in, I was like, I'm good to go. Let's do this. The reality is that if you mess up somehow, people, because you're a woman of color, it sets us back. It closes that door for we don't know how long.
But you didn't close that door.
Did not close that door. We kicked that door wide open.
I'd like to know from Jeanette if she expects her perspective to change, knowing all of the travel that she's done throughout her work here on Earth, if she's expecting her perspective to change. My first impressions would be to see the Earth from that vantage point. I do think that I would feel more protective of the people that I love and becoming more close to them, just because this is our planet, this is our home. We are all one race, it's the human race. You see pictures of it and you dream of it, and you just never know what it's going to be like when you see the real thing. Its beauty, its position in space, the blackness around it.
Passing over Spain here, lots of different colors. I think for me, what was really neat was being able to see places where I have done field work before, places where I have spent time on the ground doing research, making observations, and to be able to see those same locations from a more kind of orbital perspective, from a planetary perspective. I think what we ultimately were the most drawn to, probably what we took the most pictures of and felt the most connection to, was home, where our families are, where our friends are. Those are the places that mean the most to us.
Joan, what was your proudest moment?
I think for me, the proudest moment was my dad, who was just as proud of me as he could be. He developed colon cancer, which eventually metastasized. And so I went home to visit him. He was in hospice care at home. And we were watching TV, and, he asks me when I'm going to fly in space. I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I've not been assigned to a mission, and I didn't know what was coming my way. And he says, well, tell them to fly you before something happens to your dear old dad. Well, he succumbed to his disease 12 days later. But when we astronauts finish our training, we actually get a silver astronaut pin. You get a gold one once you fly in space. But I took my silver astronaut pin and I put it on my dad's lapel on the suit that we buried him in, because he wouldn't be there physically for me, but I knew he'd be there in spirit. I think because of what he and my mother instilled in me, it made me the person I am, and it afforded me to become an astronaut. So, he deserved that pin.